let me share with you how I frame this concept of visibility. First, we need to recognize the spotlights. From all employee meetings to company events to meetings that we create for ourselves. Second, as we step into those spotlights with confidence, to make the most of it, we need to use the right currency. And what do I mean by right currency? Right currency is about being relevant. It's about expressing the results of our work in a currency that the audience cares about. Let me share a story with you when I did not use the right currency. Well, about a few years ago, I had developed the climate change strategy for life technologies. And I was getting ready to present that strategy. And in this meeting, the budgets and capital will be allocated for the following year. So my goal was to come and get some of those funds so I could execute on projects that would reduce life technology's carbon footprint. And clearly, I come very confidently into that meeting, big spotlight opportunity, and I start pitching that it's time that as an organization, we move away from the old take, make, waste business production model. And it's time that we join the circular economy, one that is going to be low carbon and resource constrained. And as part of this, we need to be looking at low carbon raw material sourcing, less toxic raw material. And I proceeded to talk about packaging reduction. We talked about low carbon delivery methods for our products to our customers. And most importantly, product take back and reverse logistics. Well, doesn't that sound compelling? Isn't that a good story from a sustainability person? Well, my show was not going well that day. Very quickly, I realized that one by one, they were reaching out for their iPhones. They were opening their laptops and typing email away. And I knew I had lost that audience. Needless to say that the funds were not allocated to any of the climate change initiatives. I was very disappointed. I was very frustrated with my inability to influence, and I was venting in frustration to my finance partner and saying, how can I not get this through? I don't understand. The projects that we're trying to execute on save energy, freight, packaging, dry ice. It saves a lot of money. And those projects actually have one of the best return on investment in the organization. And my finance partner looks at me and says, Cristina, why don't you say that? You stood there and you spoke about carbon the entire time. Never once you talked about return on investment or dollar savings. I was using the wrong currency. To that audience, tons of carbon was meaningless. They can't have a relationship with a ton of carbon. They can for sure understand $1 million savings. And luckily, I was able to return 6 months later, and that was my conversation. I never spoke about carbon. The initiatives were the same. How I was expressing the results had changed. It was all about productivity, dollar savings. And from that point on, I started getting a flow of funds, capital allocation, so we could execute on all the initiatives to reduce our carbon footprint. The spotlight alone is not enough. Using the right currency is very important. Now, currency also relates to the amount of data that we share. And this is something we engineers are all too comfortable with. Complex information and data. And my goal at that time was to attract more employees to join our Green Committee so we could continue to drive results forward. Well, the engineer that I am, comfortable with data and lots of passion for what I do, this is the first slide I came up with. Ultra complicated, and I'm going, that's pretty easy, I can read that. And then, so I decided to go socialize my content with my peers. Over the next 30 days, I went to see my friends in marketing, in HR, employee communications, investor relations, all the non-engineers. And they gave me some counsel and some input saying, no, it's too much. I don't think people grasp that. All employee meetings, these are people that don't really have an interest in a lot of detail. They are probably looking for a high-level message. Okay, I think I made it better then. Much simpler. And I can even show my goal for next year. No, Cristina, too much. How about some arrows with just numbers? Okay, there you go, much simpler. And at this point here, one of my colleagues said, look, if the audience doesn't get the point you're making in 10 seconds, you have lost them. All right, that's not a 10-second message. How about this one then? And in the end, this is what was presented. Much simple, to the point. And that day, my talent show went quite well. It was simple, it was easy, big yeses from my boss, the CEO, and we were able to recruit about 150 people to join our Green Committee. Looking at it from the lenses of the audience can be difficult. So it's okay to socialize so we can actually step into those spotlights using the right currency. So we can go into the opportunity and be relevant to that audience. Visibility matters, and it can help you advance. Thank you very much.